Have you ever dealt with a homeowners association that just went too far? Well, buckle up, because my story involves an HOA, my own private island, and one very satisfying legal notice. It all started a few years ago when my wife and I bought our dream house. It wasn't just any house. It came with a small island in the middle of the lake it backs onto. We checked everything during the purchase, the deed, the property lines, all of it. The island was 100% ours. We spent our first summer enjoying it, having picnics, and just soaking in the tranquility. It was our little piece of paradise. The neighbors were friendly, and we even told a few of them they were welcome to enjoy the island, as long as they were respectful and cleaned up after themselves. It was all about community and good vibes. Then, a new HOA board was elected, and that's when things started to get weird. The new president, let's call him Bob, seemed to have a personal mission to regulate every square inch of the neighborhood. His first move, a letter to all residents about unauthorized use of community property, vaguely mentioning the lake and its surroundings. I didn't think much of it at first. After all, the island wasn't community property. Oh, how wrong I was. The following weekend, my wife and I paddled out to our island, looking forward to a quiet afternoon. But as we got closer, we saw something that made our blood boil. Stuck right in the middle of our island was a large, professionally made sign that read, "Private Property HOA Members Only." I couldn't believe my eyes. They hadn't just trespassed, they had claimed our land as their own. It felt like such a violation. My first instinct was to rip the sign down, but I decided a more strategic approach was needed. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was a power play. I went home and immediately drafted a polite but firm email to the HOA board. I attached a copy of our property deed, the official plat map highlighting our island, and a photo of their sign on our land. I explained that the island was private property, our private property, and kindly requested they remove their sign and inform residents of the error. I figured this was a simple mistake that could be cleared up with clear evidence. I hit send and waited, expecting a quick apology. Days turned into a week, and all I got was radio silence. Then, another letter from the HOA arrived. This one was even more audacious. It stated that historical use of the island by the community gave the HOA administrative rights over it. They claimed they were formalizing this access for the good of the community. Historical use, administrative rights, they were just making things up. This wasn't about community. It was about control. They were essentially trying to steal our land through sheer audacity and bureaucratic nonsense. At this point, I knew talking to them directly was pointless. They were doubling down on their fantasy. So I called my lawyer. I explained the whole situation, from the purchase to the sign to their ridiculous historical use claim. My lawyer, after a good chuckle, confirmed what I already knew: the HOA had absolutely no legal standing. They were trespassing and their claims were baseless. He said they've built their entire case on a foundation of hot air, one legal push, and it'll all collapse. That's exactly what I needed to hear. My lawyer drafted a formal cease and desist letter. It was a masterpiece of legal jargon. It detailed my undisputed ownership, cited the specific state laws they were breaking regarding trespassing and property rights, and demanded the immediate removal of their sign. But we added a special little clause, the part that would turn the tables completely. See, to get to the lake, most of the neighborhood, including the HOA board members, used a small access path that happened to run along the edge of my property. We had an easement that allowed 4-foot traffic, but the easement had specific terms. The letter pointed out that the HOA's aggressive actions and false claims constituted a breach of the good faith understanding that underpins such community agreements. Therefore, we were giving them 48 hours to remove the sign and issue a formal written retraction to all homeowners. If they failed to comply, we would not only pursue legal action for trespassing, but would also begin proceedings to legally challenge and revoke the easement, effectively closing off their convenient access to the lake. Their shortcut to the water ran through my goodwill, and my goodwill had just run out. The letter was sent via certified mail to every single member of the HOA board. The effect was immediate. The very next morning, I saw Bob and 2 other board members paddling out to the island in a canoe. They looked absolutely miserable. They ripped the sign out of the ground, and it was glorious to watch. Less than 24 hours later, an email landed in my inbox. It was from the HOA secretary, not Bob. It contained a scanned copy of a letter that was being mailed to all residents, admitting the HOA had made an error in placing the sign and confirming the island was, in fact, my private property. The best part, the neighborhood gossip mill went into overdrive. The story of how the HOA tried to seize my island and how I threatened to close their lake access spread like wildfire at the next HOA meeting, which I made sure to attend. Bob and the other board members faced a barrage of questions from angry residents. Their little power trip had not only failed, but had also made them look foolish and incompetent. Bob was not re-elected the following year. Since then, we've had 0 issues. The lake access remains open, and we've gone back to our original policy. Our friends and respectful neighbors are welcome. The difference is, now everyone knows it's a privilege, not a right. Sometimes, a well-worded letter is all it takes to remind people about the importance of boundaries and the law. It was a stressful ordeal, but I have to admit, seeing that sign come down was one of the most satisfying moments of my home ownership journey. So, what do you think? Have you ever had a run-in with an overzealous HOA? Let me know your stories in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. See you next time.